a shame I've got to live without you anymore. There's a fire in my heart, a pounding in my brains, driving me crazy. We don't need to talk about it anymore. Yesterday is just a memory. Can we close the door? I just made one mistake. I didn't know what to say when you called me baby. Don't say goodnight. Say you're gonna stay forever. All the way. Can you take me high enough to fly me over yesterday? Can you take me high enough? It's never over. The yesterday's just a memory. Yesterday's just a memory, and I don't wanna live without you anymore. Can't you see I'm in misery? And you know for sure I would live and die for you. And I know just what to do when you call me baby. Don't say goodbye. Say you're gonna stay forever. All the way. Can you take me high enough? Can you fly me over yesterday? Can you take me high enough? It's never over. The yesterday's just a memory of a running. I was running for the door. The next thing I remember, I was running back for more. Don't say goodbye. Say you're gonna stay forever. All the way. Can you take me high enough? Can you fly me over yesterday? Can you take me high enough? It's never over. Can you take me high enough? Won't you fly me over yesterday? Can you take me high enough? It's never over. I don't want to hear about it anymore. It's a shame I've got to live without you anymore. There's a fire in my heart, a pounding in my brains, driving me crazy. We don't need to talk about it anymore. Yesterday is just a memory. Can we close the door? I just made one mistake. I didn't know what to say.